What I love about title work is it's sort of like a film before a film. It's a way of conditioning the audience of what it is that they're about to see, or at least, kind of lighting up their senses a little bit before the show begins. The best titles, obviously, are the ones that fit the film. I'm Danny Yount. I'm a motion designer for film and television, and I have a company called Prodigal Pictures. We do graphic idents, we do titles, and we do promos. Film title work is very much about you understanding the story and talking with the director first, so you can understand what shape a title needs to be. Some titles are incredibly short, and they should be, because you just need to get right into the film. Other films want a bit of a ride before you get into it. You develop a discipline as a designer that, oh, I'm designing because I'm telling this story, or this message is really important. So your focus just, becomes crystal clear at that point. A director has only so much time in a day. I mean, you're this part of their schedule. When they come in, you gotta be on it and in there. If you don't have an idea, they're gonna see that too immediately. Oh, he doesn't have an idea, this thing sucks. The best pitches I've ever had is when I kind of have a book, but I have a really great motion test, an actual moving piece that demonstrates, that it does fit with the film. From the title business, I've pretty much learned to be a jack of all trades. And even in the work that I've done as a designer, I didn't go to school formally. And so I had to find a way into the business that a lot of, that I didn't have access to. So my way to do it was just learn everything I could with the tools that had just come out at the time. I learned animation and editing, and I'm like, gosh, I love this stuff. During the time when that desktop revolution was occurring, you had companies like Tomato, and you had designers like David Carson, who were creating these wonderful pieces that were very kinetic, and they're very, experimental. Then, of course, Seven came out, and it changed the way that people had traditionally viewed film title work. It was a much more fluid process that was starting to emerge. And I started seeing all that, and it was just more fuel to the fire for me. I just wanted to be so much a part of that. I had sent a resume to Digital Kitchen. They were at the beginning of that period and understood it fully well, that you can be an outside shop and you could start having access to sort of the bigger playing field. I was a motion designer who, I guess, sort of became kind of an amateur director all of a sudden. I directed the live action for 6 Feet Under. People were viewing our work as fresh because we were outside of the larger playing field. We were looking at things from a different lens. We weren't trapped by all of these, expected ways of doing things. That's the actual photo, yeah. I had no idea at the time it would get any attention. I mean, when all that stuff just kind of comes together and you're able to finally do the things that you never thought could be possible, it's like Providence. There's this window that you have, and it's a real tiny window, and you have the ability to get a hold of that and take it, or you could just sort of let it slide, but you're gonna miss that opportunity. Here's 6 Feet Under here. I was a little over 35, and for some reason I thought it was the end of the world, and I was out of time, and then it was gonna be over soon. I had no idea about LA. I thought it was that thing out there, that you had to live in. I sent my reel to Kyle Cooper. Kyle was starting his studio, and he called me in like 3 days. All of a sudden, we're kind of growing fast. Personally, I did, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and then shortly after that did Rock and Rollin', and then shortly after that did Iron Man, and then one Iron Man led to another Iron Man. To me, graphic design is really just a sampling of all the things that we take in that's external to design. There's something about building a library of things over time that, whether it be, physical elements or files or just references that you're always pulling on. I'm very much a pack rat for that reason. Like, I have a garage and a room full of stuff I can't get rid of because I know that if I let go of that one thing, I'm not kidding, I can't tell you how many times the very next day I needed that thing. My drawings still look like this. As a kid, I started reading like weird comic books and things, and I just gravitated to anything that made me escape from the things I hated about being a teenager at that point, you know, with a really messed up environment. I really used to geek out with mazes when I was a kid. Art and design is a way, oftentimes, for us to process things that are a little difficult to face even sometimes, you know, and it gives us the ability to kind of reshape the way we look at these things that we think are problems. You know, they're really just life experiences. I've been working with FX Networks for a while, and we have these wonderful collaborations. Sometimes I'll generate an idea and we'll execute that. Other times we're just kind of all working together and figuring out something. And so we went back and forth a lot on this job called Bastard Executioner. Bastard Executioner is a new show by Kurt Sutter. To me, it feels like a working man's medieval flick. Tonally, I knew it had to be very dark. We kicked back a lot of key ideas. I came up with the helmet with the teeth and the shield on the horse. And we just went back and forth and riffed off that for a little while. And then they came back with the final boards from their creative team, which incorporated a few more ideas, which I thought were wonderful. The challenge for me is to try to then shoot those boards exactly like those boards. And sometimes they look ridiculous. My own work oftentimes looks ridiculous. I'm like, how in the heck, what did I get myself into here? How am I gonna get out of this one? Some projects are so large and of such a scale, there's no possible way you could do it yourself. But also I think there's definitely something to bringing in other people so that you can influence each other. For a company like Prodigal, that's a big shoot. There's a lot of moving parts, and I love that stuff. I love all of the camaraderie, and I love all of the things that could go wrong, you know. It really helps you to sharpen your focus. Clients want you to deliver pretty quickly. I mean, for Bastard Executioner, we had stuff loaded up the next day, and 2 days later, we had to produce a cut. And it's gotta be a good cut. There's a great team of guys working on this project with me. A wonderful editor, a couple of really good animators, guys I've known a very long time, and they love what they do too. That's the way I like to work. I like to have a very small, concentrated team. The workload is a little heavier than in a larger team, but there's a focus that I really want to try to keep intact. That's really important to me. All of this is a way to tell a story. All of it's a way to make a connection to an audience. There's something about just getting in there and doing it, and you start discovering your talents within that process. And, you know, by you just kind of jumping in and trying to overcome what you think your own personal limitations are in this stuff. Like, why not go out there and do something that inspires you? You know, stretch yourself, like, learn how to tell a story. Like, don't just noodle with little software-y things and, you know, plugins and all that. Go out and tell a story, do something big. You know, try something big, fail at it. Go fail at it 100 times until you finally get it right and everyone's like, oh my gosh, you figured that one out. When they're moving, it's going to be so nice.